And then, Acts 1 verses 9 through 11 give us the most detailed historical narrative account of our Lord's ascension. When he had spoken these things, while they beheld, he was taken up, and a cloud received him out of their sight. And while they looked steadfastly toward heaven as he went up, behold, two men stood by them in white apparel, which also said, Ye men of Galilee, why stand ye gazing up into heaven? This same Jesus, which is taken up from you into heaven, shall so come in like manner as ye have seen him go into heaven. Now perhaps somewhat unexpectedly, the clause, he ascended into heaven, receives the longest treatment of any clause of the Apostles' Creed in our Heidelberg Catechism. Look at the length of Lord's Day 18 on the Ascension. The previous article deals with the resurrection of Christ, and it gets one question and answer, but the Ascension gets 4. Question and answer 46 gives us especially the fact of our Lord's ascension. Question and answer 49 gives us the benefits, especially 3 benefits of our Lord's ascension, benefits for us. And then sandwiched in between these 2 question and answers, we have question and answers 47 and 48, which explain Christ's ascension in relation to his 2 natures, divine and human. Now Christ's 2 natures, his deity and humanity, receive extended treatment in 2 places in our Heidelberg Catechism. And the first one is, as some of you may know from a catechism class that I'm doing at the minute, the first is Lord's Days 5 and 6, which treat the qualifications of our mediator. He must be man. He must be man in order to suffer. He must be man in order for him to suffer in the same human nature which sinned in the first place. Can't be an angel, can't be a dog, has to be man. And he must be God. And he must be God because he must sustain the human nature as it bears the infinite wrath of God against all the sins of all of God's elect. And he must be God, must our mediator, in order to restore to us righteousness and life. We can easily understand then why Christ's deity and humanity are treated in Lord's Days 5 and 6, because for one to be the go-between, as it were, between God in heaven and man on earth, he must be both man to relate to us and God to relate to the triune God. But Christ's 2 natures are treated fairly extensively here, where you mightn't have expected it, in Lord's Day 18 on Christ's ascension. And the question therefore is, why? Part of the answer lies in the historical circumstances in Heidelberg, in Germany, when this catechism was written in 1563. Because prior to Elector Frederick III, the first Calvinistic and Reformed elector of the Palatinate, prior to him, that region, the Palatinate, and its capital city of Heidelberg had been Lutheran. And actually after Frederick died, his son, who was a Lutheran, took it back to Lutheranism, and the men who wrote our Heidelberg Catechism were chased out of town. So Frederick III and the authors of the Heidelberg Catechism, in dealing with Lutheranism, had to refute their strange view of Christ's human and divine natures in connection with the Lord's Supper. called the ubiquity of Christ's human nature, because in connection with their misunderstanding and error on the Lord's Supper, the Lutherans devised a doctrine called the ubiquity of Christ's human nature, that Christ's human nature is everywhere. So it is here, in Lord's Day 18, that our Heidelberg Catechism lays the groundwork for a right understanding of Christ's two natures in connection with Christ's ascension. And then when you come to the Lord's Supper, it makes a lot more sense, the rebuttal of the Lutheran view. But more on that later. Consider briefly and very simply our Lord's ascension. First, the meaning, and second, the benefits. The meaning and the benefits of our Lord's ascension. Christ's ascension, if you want a very brief definition, was his bodily going up from earth to heaven. Before his ascension, there he was standing on earth, talking with his disciples. After his ascension, he was in glory, and during his ascension, there he is going up from one place, earth, to another, heaven, up, 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 and then a cloud receives him. And this means that Christ's ascension pertains not to his deity, because his deity doesn't go up, because he doesn't move from one place to another place with respect to his Godhead, because as God he is everywhere. As God he does not and cannot move. His ascension pertains to his humanity. And when I speak here of Christ's humanity as being the object of the ascension, I mean more specifically his glorified humanity. His glorified body and his glorified soul went up. Because this Christ who ascends is the one who has, a few days before, already been raised from the dead in a glorified resurrection body, and it is that resurrection body which goes up to the triune God in heaven. Now, since Christ was raised personally and bodily, his ascension was visible, which simply means his ascension was capable of being seen. If you had been there at that time with your eyes open, you would have seen a man go up into heaven without any ropes or strings or pulleys. He just went up, and your neck would have craned. There he goes, up. You would have seen it. It was visible. But something can be visible but not seen. There are lots of visible things in the desert which nobody sees because they're not there to see him. But Christ's ascension was not only visible, it was actually seen. And Acts 1, in verses 9 through 11, puts great emphasis on the disciples beholding, looking, gazing, and seeing. When Jesus spoke these things while they beheld, he was taken up, and a cloud received them out of their sight. That's the second seeing word. And while they looked steadfastly, so there's a looking, and in our English version here we have an adverb telling us how they looked. They looked steadfastly towards heaven as he went up. Behold, two men standing by them. They then say to the 11, Ye men of Galilee, why stand ye gazing up into heaven? This same Jesus shall so come in like manner as ye have seen him go into heaven. And when I say this was witnessed by 11 men, I mean the 12 minus Judas, who by this stage had already gone and hanged himself and gone to the place for which he was predestined. And all according to the prophecies of Psalm 69 and 109. And the 11 are specifically named as Peter and Andrew, James and John, Philip and Thomas, Bartholomew and Matthew, James, Simon, and another Judas.